Hey, let's kick off another episode of the Real Conversations, Real Stories, Real Housing Issues that impact landlords, tenants, and taxpayers across Ontario. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Kayla Unfiltered, the Housing Call-In Show. This is a space where we cut through the noise, sometimes not that noise, and talk honestly about housing, what's working and what's broken, and who's actually paying the price. These are real issues affecting landlords, tenants, and taxpayers. And tonight, we're not sugarcoating any of it. I'll be upfront. Tonight's going to be a show that's long and unfiltered and probably uncomfortable for some. So grab a snack, settle in, and stay with us. What's happening in Hamilton right now should concern everyone who cares about affordability, accountability, and trust in local government. We're joined tonight by local residents, landlords, investors, and one anonymous community member who's asked to share their experience safely. These perspectives help paint a clear picture of what's really happening on the ground, and we're covering some big, serious issues tonight. Government spending oversight, the housing policy decisions that are already reshaping the rental market and pushing costs onto taxpayers. This isn't about politics or personalities. It's about decisions, consequences, and the accountability. Before we dive in, a quick reminder, the show is for education and advocacy only. Nothing to discussed here is legal advice, and if you need guidance to your situation, please speak with a qualified legal professional. And of course, thank you to our sponsors for allowing these conversations to be possible. We have Front Lobby, Landlord Credit Bureau, Canadian Tenant Inspection Services, Coffee and Mortgages, Intrust Commercial Real Estate, the Cooperators, Ray Johnson and Associates, KW Property Management, and of course, Renovation Solutions. We truly appreciate your continued support, honestly informed housing conversations. So let's get into it. I don't know what the little squeaking is. So I don't know, we have a lot of people on the call tonight. So if we want to just check our background to make sure we don't have anything squeaking, because we have a lot to unpack. Right now, we have Michelle with us. We have Dan. We have Manny. It's always been happening to my life. Can everyone mute to make sure it's not for me? Okay, so it's someone. It might be Michelle because she muted right after. Gotta love live, guys. Gotta love live. I see I'm really red. So she's going to check on that just to make sure she doesn't have the squeaking noise that we still hear. And maybe Michelle, if you want to log out and log back in again, that would be awesome if you could do that, hun, because we have to hear what she has to say. I'll keep everyone entertained in the meantime and give everybody a lowdown what's going to happen. Initially, we're going to talk about what's happening in Hamilton. We have the mayor. So if anyone has been following what I have been doing, the mayor of Hamilton has tried to kick out an ex-spouse of hers. This is something that we've been following right before I took off on vacation, and we were dying to get back and get on live to talk about it. I don't even know if it's even me now. Guys, it's so hard when we have.
Does it have to be on default there, Kayla, or I'm on my cell phone?
Usual. I don't know. It's your phone. No, we have the echo.
That was already muted. Maybe it's me then, I guess. How do I mute?
You mute. Let me see if I can mute you. I can mute you.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, so let's see. So yes, it is, Manny. It's you. It's you, my friend. We found it. See, we're all about solutions on this channel. So we're gonna let Michelle back in, and if we can get you, Manny, on a desktop or maybe log back in again, that would be fantastic if we could do that.
Okay.
I'll leave you for like 2 seconds to tell me what you're saying. Manny's fired up. We need Manny. The show must get rebooked or rescheduled if we don't have Manny. Okay. Stay with us. Okay, so we have the mayor of Hamilton. As people know, she was the leader of the NDP. She became the mayor of Hamilton. Speaking with landlords and investors and property managers in Hamilton, they're not satisfied with the way that she's running her city. This is why we want to come on and talk about, obviously it's a personal situation, but it does weigh heavily on our landlords because she's end up taking her role as mayor and try to circumvent and not go through the landlord and tenant board like she should, and not deal with the bylaw that she and her council created regarding rent evictions. So we wanted to kind of give everybody a chance to kind of go around, because I know we have people. I don't live in Hamilton. I live in Cambridge, but I obviously support our landlords outside of everywhere in Ontario. And I wanted someone to, if this is the first time someone is covering what is happening in Hamilton about Andrea and trying to kick out her husband, who wants to take this one first to give us like the first time hearing about this? Tell us, Michelle, Exit, Dan, who wants to tell us exactly what happened? Because this is a twofold of her trying to kick him out.
Hello.
Well, oh, there we are.
There we go. Can you see me?
Yep, we can see you. And I don't hear a tweeting noise, so we're good. We're just talking about Andrea, how this all came out, where she tried to kick out her ex-partner out of a home that she's owned for a very long time, is what I'm hearing.
Yes. So quickly it became, I called it right away. I said to Exit right away, listen, she did not go through the LTV system. I can tell you that right now, because she was using the building department to say that the house was not livable. So that's how she was trying to get him out. And as we all know, there certainly is a whole avenue for you at the LTV for that. So you can't just call your building department and just say, hey, get this guy out.
And,
Well, yeah,
and that's my beef. And that's my beef. We got to go by the channels that they created for us, but she could go around the channels. How is it that you could go around the channels? And I'm pissed. I'm not like, I was in another chat group with Kayla, and Kayla knows I've been pissed about this. I've been pissed about the vacant tax. I've been pissed about you shutting down my Airbnb, like business that I had going on in Hamilton. The vacant tax, first off, let's talk about sorry, I'm going to get off topic. Vacant tax. First off, I pay property tax. Nobody else pays my property tax. I shovel the snow. I take care of all of that. If I want to have a house vacant, that's my business.
Okay, we're gonna get to vacancy tax. I know this guy. I was on the phone with him for 40 minutes today, and normally I don't like to hear someone's feelings about the topics before we have. So we're gonna try to stay on topic. We're gonna talk about Andrea, because I know that she didn't go through the landlord and tenant board process, from my understanding. She went to the landlord, and she didn't go to the landlord and tenant board for N13, and this is a big thing because obviously N13 is to evict someone for renovations or demolish the property. A lot of people know, like, Acorn is like Hamilton's like the belly of the beast for tenant unions, in which they want to prevent landlords from doing renovations to their property. And from our understanding is that she didn't go through those channels. And this is resulting into going to the Supreme Court, Michelle, that she went to get an emergency order to demolish it. Superior Court. Now,
Superior.
So now she went there, but the judge ended up denying her application because she had a third party deem the property to be illegal, or deem the third party to deem it to be needs to be demolished, in which she filed another application to Superior Court to get them to do it. And now that she's in the second time around, what happened from that? They didn't allow her to demolish the rental property. Exit?
Yeah, they what happened was they determined that the unit could be repaired. Right? So the unit can be repaired, which falls under the city renovation bylaw, right? So if the unit could be repaired, she never even applied to the city for renovation, right? You were supposed to provide the tenant with alternative housing and moving expenses and such like that, so they can come back to their unit.
So so now that she went through the secondary and they did not get approved, she's got to do emergency repairs now within that property. My main question now too is like, why did the house get so far into being demolished? Like how come she wasn't forced to upkeep that property,
There's
even though it's her ex-husband into it?
like there's property
think-
standards bylaw, right? Like shouldn't like how did she get away with bylaw enforcement? Like we get
Well,
Because you're-
because she's the mayor. She's the mayor of Hamilton.
Yeah.
That's how she gets away with it. Like, let's be
But how
real.
does-
The rules only apply to us. They don't apply to the mayor of Hamilton. That's
How does
the
the mayor
reality of
become
it.
how does the mayor become the poster child for for like property standards? Like seriously, how does that happen?
And it's literally like it's almost like a slum. I've seen pictures, like it's a slum situation. Like she's came into the city putting bylaw after bylaw, but here she decided to go ahead and not even maintain her own property of what she owns. And the poor man that lives in there, like I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
So she
He's a
probably left
senior.
it that way. She probably left it that way so he can leave on his own.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of slumlords over the years do things like that. Not calling the mayor a slumlord, but
Oh, I am.
you know,
It's okay.
like a lot of the older landlords in the city that were from outside the city, because they weren't getting enough rent or they wanted the tenant to leave, they really
Mm.
didn't do the repairs, right? So it kind of falls into that category. Um, and she's supposed to be the model citizen for our city, so it kind of doesn't look good. And that whole article coming out and her trying to go around LTB, that's really not a good look. It's not a good look for all the people that are, having to go by her new bylaws, right? So, it did get me fired up in that room. It got a lot of things that she's done got me fired up. But the fact that she tried to go around LTB, like everybody has to go by LTB. Nobody's above the
Yep.
law. You know what I mean? Like it's,
Yeah.
I don't care who you are, city official, not a city official. You got to go by the law, right? Like, poor landlords out there that are not getting their rent. There's a lot of landlords that are actually good landlords. There's a lot of tenants that are good tenants. You know what I mean? Both sides, right? Not just one side. I have really good tenants. I've had bad tenants. You know what I mean? So, I know there's both sides to the coin. But like we all have to go by LTB. And
Yeah.
like it's not fair for somebody that's our city elected official to can bypass that or try to go around that. And I'm happy that they wrote an article about it because nobody would have knew. Like nobody would have knew. And I'm thankful. I don't know who wrote it, but I'm thankful for the guy that did write it, because it just brought awareness to
Joey
the fact.
Coleman, public record.
Say that
Yeah,
again,
but-
accent.
Public record, Joey Coleman. He covers
Okay.
city hall affairs.
Yeah.
And
And
again,
that-
though,
But-
like if go
But
ahead,
even
Michelle.
CHCH didn't bring it up. Like all the mainstream media is like, nobody. It was like Joey Coleman and John Best have been the two really that have been covering this. Why was it not on CHCH? Is
Yeah.
this
It should
not
have been.
newsworthy? Because she's an
It should
elected
have been.
official and she should be held to an even higher accounting than regular
A
people.
100%. I agree with you, Michelle.
Just like
100.
they hold the landlords accountable more so than tenants.
There you go.
We're in a
So she should
ladder,
be
guys.
leading by
Elected
example.
officials, landlords, tenants.
Exactly. There's no pass.
Elected officials should be the model citizens that we follow. So if I followed being a slumlord, what would happen to me? If I try to
Well, you
go
go-
around the LTB, what would happen to me? Like, why can't she be held accountable for her actions?
I don't think
That's
that you
all.
can go and that you'll just be like, well, it was good enough for Mayor Horwath, so I'm here with the same, I'm basing it on this. Like, why can't I do it?
Like,
She
I
did it.
wouldn't even do that. I wouldn't even do that to my properties. I wouldn't even do that to my tenants. Because
No, I know.
that's not like, it's not nice to do that. But the fact that our elected official does that and she acts like she's a model citizen, You know, like I don't have anything against her, but all of the things that she's put in place since she's been in an office, it's
Mhm.
just been all one-sided. It's all
Well,
been
this
one-sided.
Well, this is where we go, Manny, is that she obviously didn't go through the proper channels. She's obviously allowed the tenant to live in that type of state. Now, normally, if that was us, we would see ourselves as a tenant. They call property standards, they come in, they give the landlord an order to fix it. And if they don't fix it, they're going to give you notice to fix it. They'll probably find you to fix it, and then they're going to come in and fix it and put it to your property taxes.
Yep.
Why didn't this happen to her?
But how do
You know,
we know he didn't? How do we know he didn't call?
That's true. That's true.
Like,
That's
I
a
mean, how do
valid
we know?
point.
Because he could have called and it'd be like, oh, this is the mayor. Forget that. That gets filed under G, goes right
That's
in the
true.
shredder.
yeah.
That's true.
How do we know?
That's true.
Now, again, where this went the second time around, it was order for repairs. Do we have any update of do we have poor, his name is Leonetti? Is he
Yes.
still in
I think
the,
they pulled, he's still in there. Yeah.
okay.
They ended up fixing, or they took down the back stairs that were falling apart. And I think they repaired the front steps, which were also hazardous. I don't know what they're doing inside, but he said that he was paying for the, like he was paying for some plumbing issues in the basement.
It really just raises questions about the conflict of interest, right? The conflict of interest, using the emergency powers. Private landlords, we can't circumvent, we can't even call on property standards at times to help us with tenants, but still, how come we're not holding her accountable for going through that channel and legitly trying, and even said like, oh, she had services on hand to help him relocate out of the property. It's like,
Who's paying
really?
for that? Who's paying for that?
We are.
Because I'm sure that
taxpayers.
Aisha would have enjoyed that when her tenant.
Taxpayers.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
But I'm
Taxpayers.
sure,
Our
like, when
taxes
Aisha-
went up this year. Our taxes
Yeah, I
went
know.
up considerably this year. So
Mm.
we're paying for it.
Mhm.
So that's what
But
fires
why
me
are
up.
other
Like,
landlords not getting it? Why are other landlords not afforded that? Where is this
so
relocation team?
Yeah.
yeah, and you valid point. You know what the biggest thing that we have against working against us? We need to organize ourselves. Just like the tenants organize themselves, the landlords need to organize themselves and put some effort into this. I've been thinking about this. That we need to put some effort into this and actually stand united. Like there's no differences for any landlord. All the landlords are in the same situation, right? Either they have issues with tenants or they have issues with the getting permits if you're trying to build or you're trying to make a secondary suite. They're making things harder and harder and harder, and we have a housing crisis. So it doesn't make any sense. So we have to band together just like the tenants do, and just like the advocacy groups that they have. They have advocacy groups, Kayla, for everything, like everything. Like they had an advocacy group for uh against Airbnbs in Hamilton. And I was like, "What? I didn't even know." I went to the hearing and they have an advocacy group. Like how is Airbnbs taken away? It's like the shortage of housing. How's Airbnbs? We're providing a service to anybody that comes for a short time stay in Hamilton.
Well,
Like
they think it's going to help them with long-term tenancies, right? Because a lot of people were looking at the RTA and what was happening, and they know that, short terms did not follow the RTA rules. But if they fix the RTA rules for long terms, we wouldn't see a lot of people going in short term. But short term still is a needed service for the traveling nurses, for hockey player families traveling to different arenas and not wanting to stay in a hotel and wanting the luxury of a short term. Short terms are also good for rent evictions that are happening. Now they have not only they consider it to be rent evictions, and in considering all rent evictions are in bad faith. And this is why we have Acorn, which I always tell people, like, Hamilton is the belly of the beast, so to speak, with tenant unions, because they're obviously being supported and funded. But for them to come to elected officials at the municipal level, trying to get them to implement a different bylaw that stops landlords from renovating their units. So tenants complain that we're not doing the maintenance, and then they come out and say that now they're complaining that we are doing the maintenance. But they think it's so easy to have people for us to work around them, giving them 24-hour written notices, trying to convict them. Like, we don't really want to have to do renovations when tenants are in there, but when you don't have an end term lease and there's a situation where you do need to replace things and you can't work around the tenant's belongings and you can't work around the tenant's time, then yes, sometimes the tenants do need to vacate short term in order to do so. But the way that these tenant unions are trying to portray themselves is that they are evicted with just the landlord doing paint and a little bit of makeup on the unit, and then they have the power to jack up the rent. And we're like, no, tenants get to allow themselves to move back in at the same rate. And if the landlords are caught doing this, and heads up landlords, if you're caught doing this, the new fines are $100,000 for an individual and up to $500,000 as a corporation, even for the simple fact that these fines are huge. And I think that it will literally bankrupt some of our landlords. We just have to make sure that they have that education. But what's to say it was being misdirected from the tenants? Because anything can say, well, you didn't do it, you didn't allow me back in, or you didn't communicate with me, but the tenant didn't provide that type of information. So again, she could have done that. Andrea could have done that to her spouse, where he can move back in, but it's an easier way to do a renoviction, not a renoviction, doing a demolish. But you and I both know, if we wanted to demolish our rental unit and to rebuild, how hard would it be? Manny's in the construction business. How hard would it be to demolish our rental property so we can build more rental units for people?
It takes forever just to get a permit on a legal duplex. Just to legalize your basement apartment, it takes forever. So imagine doing a demo and rebuilding. Like the city of Hamilton, at the municipal level, we have a shortage. They're like, build. But no, at the provincial level. At the municipal level, they hold you down. Slow. So it makes no sense. It makes absolute no sense. And they're adding more and more criteria to getting a building permit.
And they lost all the history too in the cyber.
They lost all my history. Yeah.
What? I had two permits. I had 2 permits in queue in that time, and now I had to resubmit. I had to draw, we had to print them out and resubmit all of it.
You have to repay as well?
And it was, yep.
So they
lost the payment history too. They couldn't find it that you paid.
Yep. Like, tell me how come our city doesn't have cybersecurity? How come the city of Hamilton doesn't have cyber? With all the tax money, you're telling me the city's broke. I'm sorry, guys.
No, go.
I'm a little bit passionate.
Go.
You're telling me the city's freaking broke? How is the city broke? Where's the money going to? Who's managing the money? What's going on here?
Marnie Clucky.
We have the highest. We have higher property taxes than Burlington. So where's our money going?
Marnie Clucky?
Marnie Clucky.
Who's Marnie Clucky? Explain to the viewers who Marnie Clucky is.
Okay, exit, go ahead.
She's the city manager. So she's appointed by Horwath. Horwath appointed her.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
She looks like a bag lady.
Like, it's like, how does that, when that happened, that cyber attack happened, so many poor people that were waiting for their permit had to go back to restart the whole thing, repay for it. People paid for a holding cost, pay for the permits again, the utilities. Like, who reimburses us for that? Nobody.
Manny, you're singing to the choir. I'm reduplexing my place again. It was a duplex since forever. I've been taxed as a duplex. It's been on the MPAC roll as a duplex. I've been since 1990 tax rolls that I have from the city. It was a duplex forever and a day. And now they're telling me, oh, no, it's a single family home.
You know
but
what?
They lost all the records.
You know what the crazy thing is, Michelle? And I'm going to say something controversial, and I don't give a damn.
No, say it.
You know what? With the city of Hamilton, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. It's easier to ask for forgiveness.
It's
easier.
Story.
Well, I'm like $22,000 in redoing this now because it has to be up to code for now, right? And I'm just,
And the code now is not the same thing that it was a year ago or the year before. Now they're asking for dampers, like on a duplex. Like the things that they're asking for a 2-unit is like, why do we need that?
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
overkill. It's I
Well,
completely know.
No,
all of
you're
this.
onto something because I think the province knows there's a holdup at municipal level, in which they've incentivized municipalities that you get funding if you reach these quotas of creating additional units within your cities. Some of them passed and they got a paycheck, and some of them did not pass. And I think there's like a tier system in which you did so many, you get some money. You do some more, you get some more money. And a lot of them are like gun ho because like they wanted the money, they wanted the money. But again, it comes down to the fact that municipal is still holding things up for a lot of things. The province, I think, has woken up with the Conservatives, but the municipalities now are on full attack. And they're on full attack from obviously listening to people that are hoping to, that they hope that will vote for them, in which that's why they did the rent eviction bylaw. They also had the landlord licensing that they have, again, going back to Andrea once again. Andrea has obviously not
It's
upkept
just
her
another money
property.
grab. It's another money
Yep.
grab. Sorry, Kayla. It's
No,
just more
go.
money. Just money,
Mhm.
money. Just let's tag it onto these landlords. They're rich. They're getting filthy rich. Like
Yeah.
what's
Let's
like
hire more staff, right? Let's hire more staff to do this landlord licensing.
sorry, Kayla. Let
They
me just
hired 850 people at City Hall in this council term.
let me
850 staff.
let me tell you another grievance I freaking have, okay? Plans examiners don't know nothing. These brand new plans examiners are friggin' stupid. Like they're retarded. They don't know nothing about the friggin' code, building code. The new plans examiners I have to educate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me why I have to educate a city employee that you hired. How about you train them before you put them in the position to look at our plans?
Friends and family. Friends and family.
I don't know, Michelle,
No,
if you've dealt with that, but I've dealt with plans examiners that are brand new.
Yep.
Brand new. And
Oh,
they're
yeah.
like, oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't know if we can do that. What do you mean you don't know? You should know building code. This is your job to know building code. You're my plans examiner. You're supposed to examine my plans.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
don't know building code, then who knows the building code? Like,
and this is where I like to like highlight, Manny, when we in exit, like when you talk about that many people hired just in this term alone, and the fastest growing job creation is government jobs. And
Yeah.
government jobs that would probably support the government that hired them in order to keep them employed.
it's not the poor people that are being hired. They need to be trained properly. They need to know building code. They can't listen. They can't examine my plans if they don't know the building code. It doesn't make sense.
They put you
If you
through
don't-
an interview process just to be on a committee, volunteering your time.
I'm telling you, like it's ridiculous. Like, well, I gotta check with my my manager. How do you gotta check with your manager? Dude, I've done 25 duplexes.
Careful, they're
I'm-
going to offer you a job next.
I am your manager.
Put your
Answer to
email
me.
in the chat there for
No,
people.
I would
to
never
reach
work for
out.
the city.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I
like
know.
it's just the frustration of I'm a realtor. Okay, I'm a realtor. I've been a realtor for 15 years in the city of Hamilton. Hamilton was phenomenal until this new
Yeah.
transition with this mayor, and it's making the investors not want to invest in Hamilton. And I
No.
understand them. I understand where they're coming from. Look at all the look at the shit storm, sorry for my French, that has come down. All of the stuff has come down in like the last 2-3 years.
Mhm.
What the are they doing? What are
No,
you doing?
you know
Like,
what?
do you
I
want to
think
take the mom pop landlords away? Like it's obvious game. You're trying to get the landlords out. You know how many people are trying to sell off right now and get out of the city? And people are trying to leave Canada completely.
Hello.
Like people are fed up with this stuff,
She's in
right? Like
Mexico.
I have people that are moving out west, people that are moving down south. When I bring up Hamilton, they're like, Hamilton, why? Do you know all the stuff that's happening?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like
Yep.
we're supposed to
exactly.
attract investment into our city.
Yeah.
We have a waterfront development
I heard a
coming.
good stat that 86% of the tax roll is residential on the tax roll. Like
Yeah.
14% is like commercial. You ain't gonna request. You're not gonna get business. Like if I was a business, I would go to Burlington or Cambridge or Brantford. Like,
Well,
just
they did. Sorry, except they did have incentives for businesses prior. They did, and Hamilton was offering great incentives for businesses to bring businesses here. But
Mhm.
since this whole switch to the new mayor, it's just been going after one thing to going after another thing to going after. I don't know who's paying her, and I don't know who's backing her,
Or-
but I know it's not for the landlords, and I know it's I don't know if it's corporations. I don't know what it is, but somebody's definitely paying her tab, and she's going after mom and pop landlords and trying to get them out of the business.
Do you
And
want to
I
hear my
see the
theory?
sell-off happening.
Do you want to hear my theory?
I'm sorry, guys.
No.
I'm worked
Don't
up.
be
I'm
sorry.
worked up. I'm worked up because I see it from the construction side, I see it from the real estate side, and I see it from property taxes going up. I see all of the things that's happened to the Hamilton landlords right now, and it's like,
It's a
what
punch.
part of
It's
this is
punch after
fair?
punch after
What part
punch
of this is actually fair? You know what's going to do? It's going to bring crime back to our city.
It's here. It's there. It's not bringing it back. Hello. It's there.
Oh,
It's
Michelle, I can't hear you.
magnified. It's always
Hello?
there, but it's
What
magnified.
happened to the sound? Sound.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
I can
Yeah.
hear you.
Okay. It's going to bring crime back to the city. I don't know if you guys heard about that landlord and the tenant with the shooting that was in the like Stony Creek, I believe it was. A very unfortunate situation. Listen, when your back's against the wall, it could be a tenant or it could be a landlord. It could be either or.
Yeah.
There's gonna it's the opportunity of crime is gonna rise. The opportunity of more crap is gonna rise when we are actually cleaning up the city. The city was looking phenomenal up until 2022. 2023 was even all right, but this mayor changed this whole thing here. The first thing she went after was Airbnb. Second this, like all like some of the stuff I didn't even hear about until I heard from Kayla. I'm like, whoa, even that? Whoa, even that? Like,
Calm down. You're getting
when
ahead
is
of
it
us again.
enough? Like, what do you want from us? Like, should we just write over our checks to you? Here you go. Like, just take my income.
This
Well,
is it. We're the Hamilton ATM landlords.
Sorry,
We're
I
just the
can't hear you
Hamilton
guys.
ATM.
I'm going on tangents.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm
And
venting.
the ATM more because vacant tax.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know, like when will it end? But I'll tell you one thing, it's not going to lead to the place they want it to lead to,
No.
because landlords will fight. I'm going to fight.
Really?
just
I've been
gonna
around
fight
forever
till
and ain't
tooth
no
and nail.
landlords fighting. It's
Michelle,
rinse and
why
repeat.
is Michelle muted?
No, I don't think you can hear us.
I can't hear Kayla or Michelle.
No, I can hear.
Hey.
We can hear you.
Get out and come back in again.
I can't hear you, Kayla. Oh my God, what's going on here?
Come back out and come back in. Okay. He's gonna figure that out. Gotta love
Oh
live
my
stuff.
God.
What's happening?
Let me
Okay.
leave and come back.
No, you got. I'll give you guys a little bit of my theory. When you work with having a leader,
I can only hear exit.
really. Exit, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Sounds.
Yeah.
Okay, so Manny's only connected to you for some reason.
Want to
Oh
send
my
a
God.
message in the
So
private
annoying.
chat.
I told him to exit and come back in.
So tell
Yeah.
us your theory.
So my theory is with her, Andrea, being the leader of the NDP for such a long time, and she has been replaced with styles in which she does have, honestly, she's got Newfie blood in her. I'm a Newfie myself. You know, she does come across to be very appealing. I love her little fight that she has going on. And I think having her replace Andrea, and Andrea inside of municipal government now, networking with other municipal government who, many are NDP. It's about entrenching municipal government with support for NDP. Also with CUPE and being the biggest, like they have over 700,000 members within CUPE representing municipal workers. They have been very, very vocal for years with their leader who was at the protest for Bill 60 at Queen's Park when Bill 60 was put through, and how CUPE also, obviously not only supports the NDP, they have donated $5,000 to one of the tenant unions to help them establish themselves and to get more landlord tenant associations throughout people's buildings. And knowing that, the conservative government is now up against the NDP, they're up against the CUPE union, but they're also now up against the tenants who've joined the CUPE and the tenant unions as well, right? So I think it's just a political affair, and that's why they're using different headlines like the rent eviction bylaw, the landlord licensing that they have going on there, the vacancy tax. But underneath her management, it's absolutely horrible. It's horrible to see how she's gotten elected in at municipal government, being at the provincial level for so long. And this is now what Hamilton gets to see. They get to see their dollars wasted. This is wasteful money that is now coming out of Hamilton. This is a project that was only supposed to be 2.8 million, and it has ballooned over $7.9 million to have these outdoor shelters. This is the form of housing that your government feels acceptable, even though they crack down on the landlords. They crack down on us. They crack down on all of us to make sure we have clean, safe housing, making sure our sidewalks are clear. But they feel like putting people in a shipping container is the next form of housing. And not only that, but I'm hearing it's supposed to be a short-term 3-year time frame on this project. And then it went to 7.9. Exit, you got some information to share about this?
Yeah, no one knows. Those units were from China. We didn't even made them in Canada. Like
they don't pass the regulation in Canada.
Stony Creek, they got them from an indigenous provider that outsourced it, that took the plans and the copies from someone from the US. And so this is going to be debated in council next week. However, my understanding is they were built in China and they weren't even up to building code. Yeah. In Ontario building code. So they had to spend extra money, and they put the Barton and Tiffany in a toxic land, right? So it wasn't environmentally safe, and the city knew that for 10 years.
They put these shipping containers that cost 7 points. Sorry, no. Manny, can you hear me?
Yeah, no. Who's responsible for making these choices? Like, are they drinking Baileys in the morning and making decisions in the afternoon? Like, I'd like to know how come nobody's held accountable for all these? Like, what is this? They're spending free money? Like,
yes.
Don't you think there's regulations in Canada? China's a warm climate. You know what I mean? You can't buy those shipping containers from China, and they're not winterized, and they don't pass the building code here. But if I build a basement apartment building code, you're gonna hammer me down. Yeah. Like that's what, like, it's just, and then you know what the funny thing is, Kayla? Go to City Hall. All the homeless encampments at City Hall. The whole homeless encampment is at City Hall.
Mm-hmm. At the back,
right on parking, like right by the YMCA, right there.
Yeah, so, and didn't you guys have like an event? Manny, did you have an event coming up and that they put up like a black shield to hide the tent encampment because you had a singer come into town? Michelle, you know more about that?
No, I
there was a concert at the TD Center?
The TD Coliseum.
Yes.
TD Coliseum, yeah.
Yeah, they removed all the homeless people because, people were coming into the city and they don't want to see all that. So Yeah.
Okay, so what happens now? Like how do you come back from this? Like this is a lot of money. This is like $7.9 million. And for,
But-
you know,
But there's so much more to it.
you raise the property taxes. You raise the property taxes. That's what you do. You raise the property taxes, and then you know what? Next year we'll figure it out. That's the
How
city.
many-
of
I mean,
Hamilton.
actually-
that's what they say.
I actually know someone who works in there, who has to go in there quite often into the Tiffany Barton. And from what they have told me is that, first of all, it reeks of urine and feces all over the place. Like the dogs, because they're allowed to have animals in there, they're given priority if you have a dog.
Both animals, yeah.
But the dogs are like, I mean, even though I'm here in Mexico and my dog has a better life than Tiffany and Barton residents have, I'm telling you, like I walk my dog.
You're in
and
Mexico
I
right
still-
now? Oh my God.
Yes. Yes, I left in
Dedicated.
2021. Anyway, so, I mean, even pick up after my dog and I probably look like an idiot doing it because I am like, there's like jungle outside my door. Like I'm on a big compound. But anyway, it smells like feces. She told me it's like, so they have, everything is done for them. They have support staff, which are never anywhere that the we'll call them occupants, residents, I don't know what you want to call them. They're never around. They're always in the office. They're never engaging with the clients or residents. She's told me, listen, they get all their food is taken care of for them. Their housing, they've got their little cubicle, whatever they're living in. They can have their pet with them. They can do drugs, not a problem. If you're a little worried, then you flick on your light and then they'll check on you. So how are these people supposed to be transitioned into real life when you're basically, everything is taken care of you, for you? Like, how does that work?
yeah.
How do you expect someone to transition out?
Well, we're
like-
paying for it with our taxes.
Right.
They're
But
not
even
held
the
accountable.
units are
Nothing in the city
damaged.
is held accountable.
Yeah, she even told me, she's like, there's a lot of damage as well on these things. And it's like, it's not even, 2 years old?
And we also heard too, it was even in the newspaper and the Spectator that one of the landlords in Hamilton that was living in her car, her tenants were living in the encampment and got awarded a Tiffany Barton shelter from the city. So
Yes.
so they were evicted, but then city workers, like I think it was Good Shepherd, helped them
Yep.
find housing at Tiffany Barton.
Isn't that a kick in the teeth? I helped on that eviction. I helped boot them out, and they get awarded, they get rewarded for ripping off a landlord, doing damage. And I mean, it was horrible. There was like needles
So
left and
th-
everything in this
this-
rental property.
This is what leads me back to what I was saying. The landlords need to unite and make a big fuss about this, because remember the convoy, the truckers made a big fuss and we got change. We have to make a fuss, because if we don't, right now, day by day, more of our freedoms have been taken away. Like day by day, it's becoming more socialist, more communist. Like it's crazy. Like this whole thing, I don't know if you're gonna lead to the AC thing. The AC thing is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Hold on. That's
Like,
our finisher. That's our finisher for tonight. You can't go. We might even skip our bathroom.
I love your passion. I love your passion, Manny. I used to have 8 properties, and I've been a landlord for too long. So I'm coming back to Canada to sell my last property because I'm out. I tagged out. Like I live like royalty here. Like I'm telling you, I have a really good life here.
So
Why
Michelle,
what is it?
Michelle, if you go ahead.
I can't hear
Sorry.
you.
Go ahead.
No,
Why would I want to
I said
fight City
Go
Hall?
ahead. Go ahead.
Why would
There's
I
a
want to fight
delay.
City Hall? Why do I want to fight with tenants? Why would I want to fight with the building department, fight with the taxation department? Why would I want to do that?
Well,
and
you're
this
right,
is-
Michelle, but you know, I you're absolutely right. I have 7 properties right now myself, but I don't want to fight for myself. I'm fighting for the future of the city, and I'm fighting for justice. At this point, I'm only fighting for justice. And at the end of the day, Hamilton went a long way compared to what it was. Like, I've been here 40 years. Well, 43. So my whole life I've been in Hamilton. And Hamilton came a long way. Gage Park cleaned up. Everything looks so much better. Everything's way better. More restaurants, everything. And now this new mayor, she's bringing it back. She's trying to bring it back to the 80s here. I don't know what she's doing, and she's making things harder. So I don't think she's gonna get. I hope not. I don't think she's gonna get voted in again. I think we need to find a way to get her out of being
it's
a
not
mayor. Like,
just
she
the
can't be the
mayor.
mayor again. Like, it's
Not just the mayor.
It's not just the mayor, it's council. They're so ineffective. I mean, you have one councillor
They
who's
are.
been the chair of a committee for 4 years. And then when you bring up fraud and waste with OW, they're like, what are you talking about? They don't know nothing. And then you have another councillor who's like, oh, I've only been on the committee for like a month. Well, you should have done a deep dive by now. It's been 30 days.
Yeah.
Any committee I was ever on, I did a huge deep dive the first 30 days. Then you fight.
Now get
So
into that,
who-
Michelle, with the
who are
welfare.
they held accountable to?
No one.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, they're no one's holding them accountable. We can't even get Doug Ford's attention on the matter that's happening in Hamilton. Hamilton right now is a dumpster
So
fire.
that's
This is
that's what I'm saying. If everybody goes to, I know it's affected to the point, but everybody makes a fuss about it and bands together as landlords, maybe we can make some change. Possibly we could push for change, but being like in small little groups and, oh, I want this and I want that, and no, we have to band together and like do something about it or say something or make a fuss about it. Otherwise, there isn't going to be any change because nobody's holding anybody accountable for anything. And I know the city, if you want something done, it takes forever. It takes
Okay.
forever.
I got this one up right
So-
now because Michelle touched on it there, and I wanted to bring it up now because we want to cover as much as we can in this short time frame, and we're going to keep the conversation going within the comments. But when we were trying to bring, obviously, the tiny homes fiasco, the ballooning of $7.9 million in that project, obviously with the snowstorm, they've delayed it. So it's obviously, like Exit said, it's going to be coming back. But in the meantime, it left a lot of time for that Ontario Works fraud to be happening. Now, Michelle, you've been following this very closely with a few people, and unfortunately they weren't able to make it here today, which I'm hoping to get some video footage from them per se to show on a later date on the channel, on Ontario Landlords Watch YouTube channel. Tell us about the Ontario Watch, the overall fraud that they know about, that you know about with the other people of our, you gotta tell it.
Well, I did. Other people have done deputations on it. Okay.
How many?
I think there's been about 3 or 4
Okay.
that have brought it to light. It's, the city basically blows you off. So select few of us went to the Auditor General on it and reported it. I did a deputation from here just during the day of the snowstorm. And my biggest issue with a couple of counselors that I've actually spoken to, I've said, like, I don't understand. Why doesn't anyone ask questions? Like, we're giving you information. Ask damn questions. Ask for clarity. Ask for information. Like, we're here to give it to you, the information. Like, so I couldn't believe. So during my day, it was kind of a shitstorm. All of a sudden, they're asking questions, and my 5-minute segment turned into like something like 45 or 40 something minutes. And all of a sudden, everybody had questions, and Exit can speak on it as well. All of a sudden, counselors were very interested because guess what? We have an Auditor General report coming out on it now, and they've delayed it because they're widening their scope. And then
So
even Miss Mader, who is ahead of that program, she even was asked questions and did not even give correct information. She misspoke.
Hold on, let's go back though. Through your delegation that you did do at Hamilton, it was regarding tenants that were inside of the unit that was still collecting OW income. Correct. And it was reported to Hamilton regarding it, and they continued to give the tenant money in order
Yeah,
and,
so
and
yeah, so
yeah,
I
just
did
go,
it.
go,
I did
go back a little
N12.
bit.
I did an N12 because I moved here in 2021. And then I said to my paralegal, like, oh shit, I'm kind of homeless. Like, what do I do now? So I ended up doing an N12 on one of my properties. And after they left, because it was a duplex, so after they left, like mail still kept coming for them. And they would always grab the mail before, like I was always gone during the day. So I don't know, I don't get the mail. So they were grabbing the mail. So all these things are starting to come from Ontario Works, and I'm thinking, that's odd. And they're in the name of a tenant, or sorry, they were in the name of a person who was never a tenant at my house, ever, was on a lease. It was my tenant's boyfriend. However, he was claiming in a completely different apartment, not in the one that she was in a different one. So I called to report, hey, they actually moved out of province. So whatever you're sending, please stop. Oh, I'm sorry, we can't take your information. That's a privacy issue. I said, ho, I'm not asking for information. I'm providing you with information. They have left. I don't know what this is, but please stop sending it. So they wouldn't let me, give the information. So here's me taking the envelope, writing the information down. Even the city in Nova Scotia or wherever the hell they moved to, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, even wrote it down on there. For 7 or 9 months, mail continued to come for that
And
person.
the city just kept on sending it.
They just kept sending them. So, yeah. And then finally, somebody from the city contacted me and said, oh, we're just doing a little check. And has this person ever resided in one of your properties? I'm like, nope. There was like 3 or 4 people they asked me about. I'm like, nope, don't know who they are. I only knew the one. I said, that was the boyfriend of my tenant. I said, but he never lived in this apartment that is registered on this mail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, well, it's funny how you didn't want to take my information, but now you're calling me for it?
Yeah. So in order to get OW, they need to have a fixed address. And so what OW recipients, some of them will do is falsify the rental application, say that they're working, give fake job letters, fake credit reports, and then once they get a copy of that Ontario standard lease, they will give it to their caseworker who will first give them rent bank money from the Canadian Ontario Housing Benefit. So they get first and last month's rent from the city, and then they get the lease to get the OW. So, but the best part is the city doesn't even verify. They just take the lease at its face value. They don't even call the landlord. They don't even give the rent to the landlord when they have the option to pay the rent directly to the landlord. But then as soon as the tenant gets the lease and the unit, they will change the locks and say, we're not paying rent. Take me to the LTB. And then the best part is they'll create maintenance issues, call the fire department, call bylaw, and just create a noise and try to make it use Section 83 at the LTB. The Ontario Works fraud is rampant in what's been going on. There's been recipients in Hamilton that went like in my house, for example. This tenant was on the LTB 7 times. She never paid rent 7 times. She constantly just falsified rental applications, gave fake information just to get a copy of the lease so she can continue getting paid OW from the city. The city has the phone number. The city knows the landlord's name. They get it from the vacant house tax, from the taxation department, the water billing department. You would think like they would call us to verify, but no. And you would also think too that if they're in the mood to put housing, they have the option to pay the rent directly to the landlord, and they refuse to because, as far as I was told, they said that the OW recipients are financially independent, and then city staff also said that they don't have to use the shelter allowance for rent.
What?
That's what I was told from city officials.
So
Okay.
let me
I got a story.
let me just add. Let me just tell you something quickly, Exit. So I have a property in US, okay? I have a property in Cleveland, Ohio. You cannot qualify. We call welfare here, or OW. Over there, it's called Section 8. When you get a property, you have to qualify for Section 8. And they pay the landlord directly.
Exactly.
If the landlord says that the tenant is not good or doing damage, they get cut from their Section 8 and they get evicted immediately.
Isn't there a ban on
So
Section 8
tell
for
me
10 years as
why.
well, Manny?
No.
No? I thought if
Like,
they
yeah.
didn't
Like if
report
yeah,
10.
if the tenant does some fraudulent stuff,
Yeah.
and like and it doesn't matter, but I'm telling you, in the U.S. to get a permit, you put in the permit, come back the next day, and it gets stamped. Tell me why we pay so much taxes, we have so much leaking in our system, and nobody's held accountable.
Hmm.
In places in
Yeah.
the U.S., everybody's held accountable for everything. The minute that something like this OW thing would never happen in the U.S. because they're on you.
Yeah.
The city
Ontario's
is
the next
on you.
Minnesota.
They're calling right away.
Say that louder, Exit.
It's
Ontario's the
horrible.
next Minnesota.
Yeah. And I'll tell you guys a little story. I was doing a tenant screening for my husband's uncle. We found a gentleman. He came in. He was a contractor, blue collar, great credit. He had great income. He came with a girl and it was like, "Oh, it's just for the two of you." And she spoke up. It's like, "Oh no, this is him. We've been together long enough." And I was like, "Okay." Like, don't know what to take of that. And then we rented the place to him. We signed the paperwork. He gave his first and last, no problem. He paid rent for 4 months. And then I find out from the landlord that this tenant didn't even move in a stitch of furniture. So what was happening is that the girlfriend that he was with for years, not married, just common law, she was in government housing and someone had ratted on her, letting the government officials at, obviously government housing know that she had a spouse in the house. And so in order to prove that she didn't have a spouse in the house, he had to have some type of lease that indicated that he had his own permanent resident elsewhere so that they would leave her alone so that she can stay in government housing, living on rent guaranteed income with his amazing salary, his amazing credit. And this is how they go through the fraudulent workarounds between OW and through nonprofit / government housing as well. And this is firsthand experience for myself, like
No, but
watching this.
the one thing about OW is it opens a door for other programs at the city. They get child tax, child care. They get like food supplements. They also get like discount transit passes, free parks and rec. It opens a door to the
Cheaper
entire
internet.
Yeah. But the one thing is, the fact is that we pay all of this in our tax, as Manny said, on our tax bill. And the fact is that a lot of the stuff it's rinse and repeat. The city on one end is saying that we want affordable housing. You're putting stuff on landlords, but then on the other end, they're just letting it loose. And when they could put controls like basic financial literacy of paying rent, and I asked city officials, why wouldn't you? Why does the caseworker at Ontario Works teach him on financial literacy skills? And they said no. And I'm like, well, we teach that course was introduced to grade 12 students in high school. So like you can't put 1 + 1 + 2. Like you need X for rent, X for food, and X for transportation. And then the other thing too, they always constantly say, oh, the amounts on OW are so low, or ODSP, like they don't cover enough. I'm like, well, this is supposed to be a short-term program. The gap, like Ontario Works right? Like putting the work, like you need to get a job.
It's supposed to be
They don't
temporary,
like
not
it's
a way of living.
exactly, and they don't do that in the States. In the States, they give it to you for a certain amount of time, and they're like, "You got to go to work, my friend. You got to go to work, and you got to get a job letter, and you got to send me, and then we're going to slowly get you off of this." Like, listen, I love Canada. I love everything about Canada, but the system that we have here in Ontario is broken. And until someone's held accountable for all this wasted money, they're wasting our money. They're wasting. They're like a spoiled kid that's like, oh, I'm gonna get it next year. I'm gonna get it next year. They keep
Yeah.
spending it on stupid things like the prefab homes that are not by building code. On what about the
Renovation,
streets? How about
renovation
fixing the
licensing.
streets in Hamilton? Renovation licensing. Look at the streets. They have the biggest potholes in all of Ontario, Hamilton streets. Like,
I'm going to see it on
you
Saturday.
get
I'm
like
going to
they're
visit Manny.
raising the taxes. Yeah, we're having a podcast. I can't wait for that. I'm fired up for that. But it's just I don't like they're not held accountable. Exit, Michelle. They're not held accountable. And if us landlords don't hold them accountable, then who will?
But
Who
guys,
will hold them accountable?
this is
They're
where
not going
you
to hold
name
themselves accountable. They're not. They
name drop the counselors who need to be voted out. Like, this is the problem. This is why these tenant unions who are flashing 190,000 members in front of these elected officials to get what they want. And this is where it's like, do they really have 190,000, or is it just their online paid campaigns that they're saying, do you not like what Doug Ford's doing? Sign up, fight back. And then here we have, landlords who are part of different landlords associations. We're very scattered between landlords and property managers. Like, we're all a part of this entire ecosystem of what's happening. And they know we're a really good partner. But we do have to get ourselves more vocal on what's happening when it comes down to our election. Our election's coming up in October, guys, October 26th. And unfortunately, we pay attention on probably the last 3 months of an election. And it's not enough to follow what these counselors have done in the last 4 years.
I think all the counselors.
So the problem.
Cameron Crutch, Narinder Nan, they need to go, and the mayor.
Yeah. Say that again, Exit.
So
Narinder Nan, Cameron Crutch, Maureen Wilson, Tammy Wang, and the guy in Dundas. I don't know, Alex Wilson, I think is his name. All the and the mayor, they all need to go.
Exit, can you put the link to these people's profiles so people understand, like, when they see a sign in their community, they have the name, they have like just bam, 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 like, keep it into the comments. It's going to be obviously shared afterwards. This is the importance of it. And I think we need voices all over the place, because sometimes we find out way too late of what's happening. We find out too late about landlord licensing.
So I'm in Ward 3.
Mm-hmm.
That's Narinder Ward. And Andrew Sullivan is going to be running. He's already announced he's going to be running. So I'll be back. I'll be helping with that campaign. I don't care if I have to knock on doors, whatever. I'll do whatever. And I would love to tell my landlord stories and how, everybody has failed me at every level.
So Kayla, you touched on something very important. Like, all these big groups are behind the tenants. Like, what kind of backdoor deals are happening right now? There's some backdoor deals happening. The corruption is there's corruption here. There's 100% corruption here. You feel it, you sense it, you feel like there's no way that they just don't care. Like, nobody cares to be fair or stand by being honest and fair to the landlords also, right? Like, there's got to be something going on here. Like, it's never been this bad. Like, so many things coming at once, and it's just like, how are these big groups standing just by the tenants? What's happening? Where are they getting funding? Like, what's happening here that we don't know? What's behind the covers? Like, what's happening? You probably know better than any of us. Some of the stuff that I learned from you today that I didn't even know that's happening in Hamilton, and it's my city, but I'm so busy working. I'm so busy,
It's an election year, and it's a strategy. It's a strategy to understand every winter there's going to be a big uptick campaign regarding homelessness, because it's winter and it's cold, and we're going to worry about people who are unhoused. They don't really talk about the people who are couch surfing. They don't really talk about the people who are scraping by and trying to cover their utilities. We look at an election that's coming and how these counselors are trying to make themselves look like heroes, and they're trying to come up with different rules and bylaws and policies to make it look like we're getting the greedy little landlords, because it's about division. if the government can take the heat off of themselves from mismanaging this housing crisis and point it to the private sector, who technically have about 70 to 80%, I'm pretty sure it's 80% of the housing supply. And now we're starting to see that dwindle. We're starting to see the landlords get out of long term. We're seeing the landlords get out of the province of Ontario and move themselves into Alberta. We're going to see ourselves getting more tenant screening happening. So not everybody and anybody is going to come into our rental units. Back in the day, if somebody was on OW and ODSP, landlords would be like, yeah, the money's guaranteed, like everything's, the part. Now we have people on OW and ODSP that don't even make enough to cover the market rent. And it's unfortunate that we have to raise our rents high because of our government putting rules and regulations put in place, putting higher taxes, higher insurance, higher maintenance, with the tariff war between the US, because our federal government has shit the bed so bad trying to mince the relationship with the states. And now we're going to be paying more for material costs. So this is all going to fall back on the end user, and this is going to be our tenants. So a part of Ontario Landlords Watch and what I advocate for is the good landlords and the good tenants and the taxpayers who spend enough money on taxes, and the words of Doug Ford, taxed to death, because deep down the region of Waterloo has spent $65.5 million. And I have some new stats that I'm going to share in a post, but this is how much money they're throwing at the homelessness problem. And instead, if you look at what they're giving nonprofit housing providers and how much salary these people are making, and they are running a nonprofit, you don't even make that money near what you are in a private housing. So we have to follow the money. We have to follow which counselors are implementing rules and regulations and bylaws just to make themselves feel more secure for the next election. And this is what they're doing. They're playing politics in the housing industry, and we have to call them out for what it is. We put the link to the counselors of Hamilton. We had Exit tell us which counselors that we shouldn't be voting for, because deep down they haven't done their research. The staff also do a very crappy job on trying to bring the counselors their information so that they can vote properly. They're overwhelmed as city councilors, giving packages that could be between 800 to 1,000 pages, and they have to read it and examine it and research it themselves and speak to it and vote for it within a week. So, and it's on camera, so they have to vote for what information they have and what's being presented to them. So it's a mismanagement on all fronts. But right now, it's definitely municipal is starting to make things worse. Sorry, Manny. That's my tangent.
The provincial. It's okay. No. Listen. I've been passionate about this, but before I was like, it's rigged, can't do anything about it. You know what I mean? The city's bought and paid for. One puppet's gonna leave, another puppet's gonna come in. You know what I mean? But I feel like if we don't say anything and do anything, it's worse, right? So I completely support everything you're doing, Kayla. I'm your number one soldier. You tell me what you need, I'm here, because I'm so fed up with all this extra stuff in Hamilton. Like from the perspective of investing in Hamilton, why would you want to invest in Hamilton now? Like all this is happening. Hamilton was supposed to be a place to invest in, right? That's what we were going with, right? Like Hamilton, getting new condos coming in, waterfront development happening. Not anymore. Like people are going out west, and I don't blame them. Like the landlord laws are better out west. The landlord laws in the west is the best. It's the best.
You got to rhyme
like,
there.
Yeah, until you get hit with a land claim, and
the
then
west
your house
is the best. Like,
yeah. And I popped this comment
even
here.
in the
Oh, he cut out. No, keep talking, Manny. You cut out there.
So, even in the US, Kayla, like, it's so much different. Like, tenants cannot do this. Politicians are held accountable for every dollar. Like, you would think that there's a lot more corruption in the West, but there's actually more corruption in Ontario. There's
Oh,
more
100%.
corruption in Hamilton. Like you actually think that there's no backdoor deals happening? Kim? There's so many backdoor deals happening as we speak, and it just pisses you off because they want us to go by the book and they want us to be law-abiding citizens. They want us to do all this, go by building code and this and that. How about you guys do that? How about before you order prefabricated stuff from China, make sure that it passes the building code here? How about that?
And,
Spend
No.
our
and you're
money on it. Like you're spending our money on things that don't even work. And then you're blaming the poor landlords that are Airbnb in their basement because they need to pay their mortgage because the mortgage rate went up. Like it's what? Like
okay.
these poor people, the mom pop landlords, are just barely surviving. They're not making a killing. They're barely surviving, if that.
Manny,
Sorry.
we
And I
gotta
went on.
no, it's okay. This is what this show is about. I want this people to be very clear. Like I know I can only see any comments coming on the Ontario Landlords Watch YouTube channel. I'll try to go into the comments coming on from Facebook as well. But I did see a comment that popped up and it says, would you ever lower rent if taxes were lowered? And I think this is important because Ottawa has done this. Ottawa had lowered their tax base for properties that were bigger. And now they've sent out memos to the tenants telling them that their rents have now decreased, not knowing that everything else, especially in a bigger building, your utilities have increased. So you can lower the tax base, but with the utilities increasing, taxes increasing, the maintenance increasing, everything has increased. And why are tenants being protected against inflation? Not all tenants are poor and not all landlords are rich. But what we're trying to do is provide housing to tenants who can't afford the down deposit, who don't have that good credit, who have it's just based on their living where they want to be able to relocate. But you need the down payment, you need to have a good credit, you need to have a good job. And they always like to use the fact, and I watch all the tenant groups in itself, they think landlords don't have jobs. And it's like, we have everything on the line. We have our credit, we have our finances. You can take us down just because you think, because housing is deemed a human right. I would say shelter could be on the back of the taxpayers, in which they do provide shelter, but you cannot claim my property that's mine as your human right. And that's the combating of what government has done. They're making the landlords and the tenants fight each other. And we're not here about fighting each other. I think there is bad landlords out there, in which I know our policies are that has done everything, but you can't expect landlords to go ahead and absorb all these costs. And while tenants get to live rent free, because I could tell you they have nicer cars than me, they're going on more trips than me. We have to start thinking that it's not about a balance. But you can't be sitting here and forcing landlords to be a social agency for the government with no compensation.
No,
So
you're right.
we want to lower it.
100%,
We want to do it, but
100%.
you got to keep the landlord's costs lower in order to do it.
The thing about
the municipalities we have,
it's going to be hard to lower, Kayla, because the property costs are higher. So my mortgage is higher. You can't buy a house for 400,000 on the mountain anymore. Like I used to buy rentals for 400,000 on the mountain in Hamilton. Now those rentals are 7, 8. My mortgage is higher. My property tax is higher. You know what I mean? Everything is higher. So I can't afford to give you lower rent and come out of pocket. That would make no sense. So
I sorry, I got to put this up here. It's like, I want to hear from the tenants too. Like, I want to hear. Like,
Perfect.
I want.
You know what? Let me tell you. Okay.
Let me.
Hold on.
Go
Okay,
ahead,
so
go ahead,
listen.
Michelle.
I love this. I love, like, tenants teach me lessons as a landlord, and I would like to thank them for every last lesson, especially deciding to get the hell out because I'm living my best life. Life is good. Today was a little chilly here in Mexico, but because we're having a little cold spell. So, I mean, I'm wearing a hoodie, but it is like I am living
so
a
chilly,
charm.
so chilly, so much snow.
It is. I'm wearing a hoodie and long pants.
Back to the F landlords, Michelle. Back to the F landlords.
Here it
It's
is.
minus
I am
20
living-
outside here.
Okay, but I'm living a charmed life, and I'm not just somebody who
Yeah.
says things. I actually do them, and it's not that hard to figure out that I'm doing them because it's out there. And I'm pulling out as many landlords as I can, because you know what? Keep voting the way you are, tenants, and you're gonna get everything you voted for. I don't know who's gonna pay for it, because I'll tell you right now, ain't gonna be me. Ain't gonna be me. My shit's
Let me
already
tell you
out of
something,
Canada.
Michelle. I'll tell you something, Michelle. And I told Kayla before. The vetting that I did, good luck. Good luck. You pretty much got to give me a blood sample, bro. You're not getting into my rental units until I check everything.
Oh,
And
and
I'm not taking your credit. I'm running your credit through front lobby or running your credit through single key, and you're paying for it, my friend, not me. Not
But the
me.
problem is,
That's
Manny,
how
the
I play
problem,
now.
here's the problem. The problem isn't, you can have a AAA tenant. I had really nice properties, high-end properties, you know, where rent's like $3,800, $4,000. And your AAA tenant in this economy can turn into a non-paying tenant really fast with a layoff.
yeah, yeah.
If they're making
That's true.
180K,
That's true.
they're making 180K working for Rogers or Bell, like whatever, and they get laid off, boom, guess who's not getting rent now?
Yeah.
And that adds up quick.
So
So
the other thing,
I agree. I agree with that. Go ahead.
no, the other thing
So
too.
at
Sorry, go ahead.
Rolos, whatever his name is, thank you very much. I consider myself effed, right out of Canada.
His picture looks very surprised. He's very surprised individual.
Exit go, because I got something to say.
Yeah, the people are just
You know
selling
what,
their.
like I'm coming on for justice. I have great tenants. I love my tenants. You know what I
We're
mean?
gonna
I
move
have
you
great
around,
tenants.
Manny.
I'm
We
coming
need
on
good
for
internet.
justice. You know what I mean? Oh,
Yeah.
yo, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
just keep.
I
Yeah,
love
we
my tenants.
choppy
They're
sometimes.
great. They're great tenants.
Yeah.
I got duplexes and triplexes and that stuff, and I got great tenants and I vetted them. And yeah, you're right. Anything could happen. They could lose a job, and I work with tenants. I always try to work with tenants if they're behind a day or two, whatever. Try to be a good landlord and not be a slumlord. Take care of the properties, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, Michelle and Kayla, that if it costs more for a landlord, we're not going to suffer the cost. We're going to hand it down to the tenant. You know that. Like if this AC thing comes in play, we're going to hand it down to the tenant one way or another.
Hold on there,
Okay, but
Manny.
how do you download 100K loss by the time you get through the LTV and get them out? How do you download that to your next tenant? It's gonna take you years to get that back.
The best part is
They're
you
not.
can't.
I'm not
You
going to let it
can't
get
even
into
garnish
100K.
them
That's
because
crazy.
if they're on OW,
Hold
you
on,
can't garnish them, or if they declare bankruptcy, good luck getting your 100K.
Now, I'm
I
glad
don't
you
rent
brought
to
that up.
OW.
No,
I don't rent
doesn't
to
matter.
OW.
No, you, it's they have to have like everything has to be banked there, Manny, for you. You know that you have some people there, so we have to exit. You talked about the garnishment, and you talk about bankruptcy. And when I spoke with a paralegal, I spoke past adjudicator, and he was telling me that what had supposed to happen at the landlord and tenant board, when tenants file for bankruptcy on the rental amount that they owe the landlord, what happens now? They just say, "Oh, okay, it's gone. No worries, you get to stay." Supposedly, what should happen is that the adjudicator is supposed to put a stay on that eviction, and then they would give the landlord time to go to bankruptcy court in order to get them to lift the stay. So tenants should still be able to be evicted even though they declare bankruptcy within their rental rate. So a lot of it comes down to getting that knowledge and having proper adjudicators exercise it. I'm going to take the F landlords down because he's made his point and he shut up. I don't know where he went. I think he popped on just to say it. But again, it comes down to, if you don't like the landlords, you can certainly wait for government housing. I heard it's 10 to 20 years for social, and it's 30 years for supportive housing. So you don't have to go through the private landlords because you don't think landlords pay a contributing factor to the supply and giving tenants what they need. But we are very much needed. And I think as you see rents going to be, you're going to have a heck of a time trying to get into accommodations, waiting on that government waiting list. But you do have the landlords who are trying to provide housing, but we can't do it without government support. We can't do it without these tools. And I like, Manny, that you brought up like front lobby. Landlords, report your monthly payment history for your tenants, the good and the bad. You can do that. You don't need the tenant's consent to report a debt. You do need the tenant's consent to report a good payment history. You don't need the tenant's consent to report a utility delinquency, and you don't need an order to report a debt for utilities or for rent. The only time you need an order is if it's for damages, and you can put it on their credit, and it stays on there for 6 years in Canada and 7 years in the States. Why landlords are not doing this to be able to track these professional tenants? Because I can tell you right now, that guy is like F landlords. Honestly, you've probably been through a couple of them. And honestly, your behaviors probably end up resulting in landlords hating you too. And they probably got out of the game. And that's what's happening now. We're trying to support these landlords so that they want to stay here, but we can't do it unless we have landlords speaking up and organizing and speaking to their elected officials and having their elected officials not playing us as pawns.
Absolutely.
So, Kayla, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
You're around landlords and tenants all the time. The percentage of bad landlords right now in Ontario, let's be real. You can't even afford to be a bad landlord.
No,
You can't even afford to be a bad landlord.
it's a
So
business.
there may be like 5% or 4% or 3% as a slumlord.
Mhm.
Like, the rest of us, we can't even afford to be a slumlord. Like that was something that when the laws were different in the 80s or maybe the 90s, where it was not so one-sided. Like that guy that came on and said F the landlords, like, buddy, maybe,
Man,
like you said, maybe you had past experiences, this, that, but you can't even be a bad landlord anymore. Like, you just can't. You go bankrupt. You just can't.
it's not
So
even bankrupt. The city won't
for
allow
that
you.
case,
But here it is. You've got like property
well,
standard.
no, yeah.
They have avenues. We don't need a landlord licensing. We have
No.
property standards. We have everything available to them.
The other thing too, and I know you're
It
going to.
applies to everybody besides Mrs. Horwath. It applies to everybody besides Ms. Horwath.
The other thing too, which is my biggest pet peeve, is the city owns the hydro and water, and landlords, and like, why is the landlord stuck with the water bill when the tenant doesn't pay? How are you supposed to go after someone that's on
That's
OW?
crazy.
If they're on OW, you can't garnish them on utilities. You can't garnish them on rent payments. They just go and rinse and repeat from one house to another because, according to the city, they're supposed to be financially dependent.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's at the same time though, like they go ahead and you have a water bill and it goes to tenants, to the landlord's property taxes. It probably needs to go to the property taxes of the landlord in order to file for the N5 application that the tenant is interfering with the landlord's obligations. And then it's the fees that come with it, but they don't allow the evictions to happen the way that they should. But again, it's backlogging the landlord and tenant board on collecting municipal bills.
I don't understand why the water bill has to go on the property tax when the hydro is also owned by the municipality, like the hydro utility, and they can go after the tenant because the tenant is on their own bill. It doesn't end up on your property tax.
And why is the city taking over the water billing for sewer and water and
Because they want to implement the rain tax. So for the like Flamborough and Dundas, they're not even on the city water system, and they want to put rain tax.
Yeah, that's what they did. It's like stormwater taxes. It's all a hidden tax no matter which way. It's a license or it's a tax, but no matter which way you are as a taxpayer, if you have a company of hydro and if they have you're getting two birds with one stone. They're doing the billing and they're doing the collections on all the utilities. Why are we now separating it? And how many people is the city of Hamilton going to have to hire in order to take over this big task of water, sewage, and the stormwater?
Yeah, the other thing too we were told was that Electra is getting out of the water utility billing, but the mayor sits on the Electra utility board. So she gets $60,000 a year being on Electra, but yet the water billing is going to the city. And they hired more staff. They added like 17 or 25 more people to now run the water department.
That
And
right there
they
is
hired
that right there
17
to me
more
is a
staff
conflict
just
of
vacant.
interest.
Yeah.
That's a
Sorry?
conflict of interest. Why are you on the Electra board? Why are you on Electra board? Like that should not be allowed.
Yeah, why is the
There.
mayor getting $60,000 on the Electra board
Like-
and now forcing us on the water bill?
Many mayors sit on the hydro boards and they get money to sit there. This
Yeah.
is, I don't know, it's follow the money, guys. It's literally follow the money. We see what's happening with like the water billing, making landlords responsible. Like, what company do you know that takes on a business and they can pass their losses to a third party that has not even the user of the utility? And I can see that happening within Hamilton, because it would be, we're not going to open up accounts and tenants names, and not knowing if it's going to be grandfathered or not, but they're still going to be always passing the buck, where the province passed the responsibility to the municipality, and the municipality is now passing it to the private sector. Now, what is the breaking point for us? Like, when do we say, like, we're done, and is that going to put more pressure on our government to take more money from taxes, to build more government housing, to build, manage, maintain, and subsidize?
If the tenant doesn't pay the water bill, then they won't shut the water because it's an essential service. But yet you're stuck on your property tax bill. So here you go. You get vacant tax, water tax, rain tax, just tax.
Yeah, and that's where we are. It's
But
like they
even
don't even
exit,
disconnect. Oh, Manny.
but even exit brought up a really. Oh,
Annie, I
even-
think there's an echo.
Is that mine?
Yeah.
Is mine?
So even
Yeah.
Oh my god.
even exit brought up a very good point. They had 7 landlords defrauded by that tenant, and then if you read the decision, they were owed, I think, $38,000. The landlord,
Yes.
the landlord was owed $38,000 or something. All she has to do is pay $10,000 as a part of her sentence, like part of her restitution. But we all know that's not going to happen. There'll be some excuse of, oh, I hit hard times or whatever. It'll never happen. How do you go from owing? If you and I go to court and we owe $38,000,
What the
we're
hell's
going to have to
happening?
pay $38,000. I don't know what that.
We're gonna move you away, Manny, from the wall. We're gonna.
So here it is. If you or I owe $38,000 in back rent, how is it that they only have to pay $10,000 to make this landlord whole? But if I'm owed, if I owe that money, I would have to pay the whole $38,000.
No, but the other thing too is I don't understand. You can't. The city will property standards will fine you if they shut the water. If they'll fine you if the hydro shut off, and natural gas, like my Enbridge bill, like it can be on the tenant's bill. So I don't understand the excuse for water if the city owns the hydro plus the water, but the hydro can be on the tenant's name and it's not thrown on the property tax bill. But what's water? Why water? Like, I don't understand. And so this new utility bill system that the city's doing, it's just creating jobs more at City Hall. They're
Yeah.
just adding more staff. It's going to
Becoming
be
an eco center.
show. And the only reason they did it was to implement the rain tax. So like, if you have a house in Flamborough or Dundas, you're not in a farm community. Just even those farms that are like Kayla, like in the border of Hamilton and Cambridge,
Yeah.
they're not even on the sewer line. They're not even on the city sewer line, but yet they're going to get a rain tax bill because of the fact that the city wanted to implement this new water system.
And this is how it all kind of trickles down. And this is why we need to be talking about this type of stuff. Now, I want to get Manny back on because we're going to finish off tonight with the new survey that has been sent out by the city of Hamilton, getting the tenants' input, getting the landlords' input on a bylaw that they want to implement throughout the city. Perfect timing, Manny. We're going to get into your favorite. Get ready for it. There you, oh, no, not that one. We're going to remove that one. Put that one back up. There we go. So we got the maximum adequate temperature bylaw. That's going to be, it's a survey that was supposed to close on the 3rd. They kept it open a little bit longer. And this is where they're trying to get landlords, again, private citizens, to give tenants air conditioning throughout their rental properties. And of course, we have a lot of problems with that. It's not just about the equipment in itself, but it's about the retrofitting, it's the cost, it's the fact that they feel entitled for us to do that. And I don't know, he's got a bit of an alien talk happening here. So I guess we just have to move. I guess Hamilton does not have good internet reception. But we did it. We did really well from finding out about this, sending it out there to our community members, and trying to get everyone to fill out the survey. And of course, they get to see how many tenants are out there, how many landlords are out there, so it helps influence it. I think the Toronto had done this, where they tried to make landlords responsible for cooling temperatures within the rental property. But what had happened is that we had Bill 97 come out, and Bill 97 had allowed the government to issue that landlords have to allow tenants to implement or install their air conditioning units throughout their property. They have to provide us with the information regarding the units, and then they also get an increase in their rent through the time frame that this air conditioning unit is installed. I obviously had problems with it because it's more of the, okay, do we have our hours of operation that this tenant is going to have their air conditioning units installed, and how much are they going to be paying us for it? Probably not, but still the province had allowed a mandate to say tenants are allowed to install their air conditioning units for cooling purposes. But now the city of Hamilton, just like the rent eviction bylaw, just like the landlord licensing, just like safe apartment bylaw, duplicating their own city bylaw, policies, and now they have air conditioning. Like, when is it going to be enough? And how are we supposed to fight every municipality watching each other? They're watching each other, and they're learning from each other, and they're trying to implement it into their own city. What are you guys going to say?
I'm no one's sugar mama, and I'm certainly not going to end up tucking them in at night, because that's where this is leading.
Yeah. It's groceries next, like
That's what I
Is,
mean. You're going to end up having to cook them breakfast,
there-
lunch, dinner,
this
drive
is-
them to work.
The thing is us Canadians were too nice. This wouldn't happen in the States or in other countries. Canadians are nice, very nice. And until we stand up against this and band together and stand up against these kind of things, they're going to keep shoving down things down our throat. At the end of the day, that's what they're going to do. And if you remember what the truckers did, I keep bringing back the truckers. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have our freedom.
Yeah.
So
those restrictions lifted up pretty quick.
yeah, like I'm not trying to start a revolution. Maybe I am, but at the end of the day, we have to band together, and justice has got to be. It's just got to be fair. We just asking to be like this whole AC thing. I have AC in all my properties, besides the one that I'm working on now. That's a fourplex. Now I have to put split systems in every unit. It's a 4-unit, and it's like I got to put split systems in all 4 units now. Like
Yeah.
it's like extra, right? Like we didn't budget for that, right? And where's the stop?
You don't even know if it can be
like
done.
you said, Kayla, where's the stop? Yeah, it's in some properties it can't even be done, right? Like, it's going to be a catch me if you can kind of thing in the city. I'll tell you that right now. When they come down with rental licensing, when they come down with all this stuff, you think the landlords are going to be like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. No. We're going to revert back to the 80s, and slumlords are going to come hoarding back. You'll see. We're not going to be progressing. We're going to be regressing because of all the mandates they're putting in place, and they're going to have to back down. That's that's how it's gonna work. Either we're gonna have to revolt and stop, or they're gonna have to back down, because like at the end of the day, I'm sick and tired of it. Like I got fully renovated properties, but it took so much money to renovate them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It took so much headache, so much holding costs to renovate them. And yeah, I did negotiate my rents down because there's so many rental units now, so they could move to another rental unit because there's so much supply. So one of my properties I rented, like I negotiated the rent down, but as the one guy's like, would you guys negotiate rent down? But like at the end of the day, we have to say it's enough. We
Yeah.
have, and writing a letter is not the right way. Sorry to say, but writing a letter, the elected official will just throw it out. Like they don't care. You have to show up at their work. During COVID, you know what I did? I was waiting for a permit. During COVID, I had a plans examiner. She always had some kind of excuse. Oh, I forgot to file at the office. Oh, I this and that. I'm like, okay. Ding, 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 ding. I'm a realtor. I looked up where she lives. I'm like, hey, I know where you live. I can bring the file to you. This is your address. Guess what? The next day I got a permit.
Oh, wow. It's
You know
it's about
why?
getting
Because
people familiar.
because the thing is, she's like, oh my God, he knows where I live. Oh my, you know what I mean? Like, you have to be held accountable for your work. In every job, there's a manager. In every job, the employer does a review. How come our city officials don't get audited? How come?
Mhm.
How come? We're paying
Yeah, well,
taxes.
the city
How come
manager
they don't get
doesn't.
audited? How come they don't get audited by a different, completely
They
different?
haven't been. There's no audited statement since 2022. Because of the cyber
And that was
attack.
the last
the
time
city has-
Hamilton was great. That was the last
yeah,
time Hamilton was great.
there's been no audited statements, Kayla. We don't know where the dollars are going in Hamilton. That's why
Yeah.
there's this petition going on for the province to take over. We've been
Yeah, I
asking.
put that in the
residents
comments
have
there.
been asking for a province supervisor or audit for all where the dollars are going. Nothing's happening, and they continue
That should be
to
done.
spend and spend and spend. And how do we make wise choices at the election this October when there's no audited statements and the city council is going through 2026 budget, but we don't even know where the dollar is? It's a shell game. Like suddenly there's no audited statements during the term of Horwath.
Yeah. These are the questions that you need to be
No,
asking.
why would there be?
You gotta
It's
get
so-
this on, you gotta get this on record. We need to, like, there's letter to the editors. I think that's a very powerful source to get your voices heard. Becoming delegates at your council meeting. It may seem like it's falling on deaf ears at the province, but it's important to message the province, from Rob Flack to Grayson Smith, the Minister of Housing, the Associate Minister of Housing. We have Doug Downey, the Attorney General. We have his associate, Michael Tabolo. Like, we have to incorporate our Minister of Finance, or our Minister of Social Services. I'm working on a roundtable discussion right now in order to bring our voices to the province. I'm also tying in our landlords associations. We need to be able to have a collective voice, and for us to actually get somewhere, because deep down we do care about the tenants. We do care about the tenants. We care about the way our economy is being ran. We care about our taxes making sure that they're being used in the right places and not being mismanaged, like the tiny homes that are happening in Hamilton. And I think it's important that we keep coming on and doing this little live broadcast every Thursday. As long as there's information to be shared, I will be here every Thursday on our Ontario Landlords Watch channel, in order to bring voices like Manny, like Michelle, and X. And we have his camera off. We have his name actually blocked out, because, believe it or not, there's a lot of people who want to share their story, but unfortunately they're worried about their job. They're worried about their position within an elected official position. They're also worried about tenants coming after them. Like, it's a very dicey business out there to advocate for your own property rights. And that's what these landlords are doing. That's what more landlords are doing. So as we wrap up tonight, I wanted to leave you with this. Housing policy doesn't just live on paper. It lives in people's homes. It lives in their finances, and in their stability. Every bylaw passed, every program approved, every dollar spent has a real consequences for landlords and tenants and every single taxpayer, especially in Hamilton. What we're seeing in Hamilton isn't about one issue, it's multiple, and it's lots of decisions that are being made from their elected officials. More regulations, more cost, and more complexity, and too often less transparency and less accountability. When trust breaks down, everyone pays for it. Landlords are not the enemy. Tenants are not really the problem, and taxpayers shouldn't be treated like an unlimited line of credit. If we want housing system that actually works, we need policies that are fair, enforceable, and grounded in reality, and not just headlines or political pressure. My goal with the show has always been simple: bring the fact forward, give people a voice, and ask better questions, because housing only gets better when decisions are made in the open and honest and with respects of the people footing the bill. Thank you everyone who's joined us tonight and shared their experience and stayed engaged throughout this tough conversation and necessary conversation, and keeping the questions going and flowing, and we'll continue to do this. I'm Kayla Andrea, and this is Kayla Unfiltered. And I want to thank each and every one of you for sharing and digging deep into what Hamilton has done, and we'll continue to keep everybody informed of what else we need to be paying attention to, because it's not the end; it's actually the beginning. And I think more landlords need to jump on board and stay tuned, because Manny has a firehouse of he has a fire inside of him, and I'm excited that we spark this, and that we're going to see more people coming out and speaking out against the mismanagement of our housing crisis. Thank you all for watching. And wait,
Thank you.
I always end this show. If you have an elected official in front of you right now, exit, what would you tell that elected official?
What would I tell that elected official?
You got it's either Rob Flack, you got Doug Downey, like you got elected officials to make the one change you want to see. What would you tell them to do?
Ask the province to take over till the next election. Like, we need provincial
Ooh,
oversight.
good one, good one.
There's enough waste going on, enough dollars being spent. Like, they can't manage it. We need, like, I don't understand how the province can take over school boards. They just took over Peel District School Board. They can take over the city of Hamilton.
Nice. Okay.
100%. I 100% I agree with him. And thank you guys for this great conversation. Thank you, Kayla. I look forward to our podcast on Saturday. We're gonna have more conversation about this. I have great tenants, guys. I have a good relationship with them. I'm here for justice because of our taxpayers. We're paying a lot of the spending that they're doing right now, and they're just they're making it more restrictive and more restrictive and more restrictive, and grabbing more cash and more cash and more cash from our pockets, and it just doesn't make sense. Where is it going to? How does it benefit the tenant, and how does it benefit the landlord? It doesn't benefit neither. So that's why I'm only here for justice. I have great tenants. I have bad tenants before. I've been to the LTB many times, the video one, the in-person one, all kinds of ones, you know what I mean? So honestly, the justice it's not fair. It's just not fair for the landlords and the tenants. You know what I mean? This is nothing against the tenants. Tenants are great. Landlords are great. This is about what the city is doing and how it's just overkill. And thank you so much for having the show, Kayla. Thank you for having me on. Really nice to meet you, Michelle, and it was a great conversation. And I look forward to meeting with you on Saturday, and we're gonna go through everything layer by layer by layer, and I want to peel it back like an onion.
Welcome to the advocacy world, my friend. Michelle, send us off. If you have our elected officials in front of you, what would you want them to change right now?
It's not so much change. I would like to tell them on every level of government, and I mean federal, provincial, and municipal, shame on you. You have failed us, and you continue to fail us. So please continue to teach people like me a lesson. And I appreciate all the lessons that I've learned, because it has pushed me to move on. And I just don't have the fight in me. I'm not, shaming or naming anyone that still has. I really enjoy seeing the passion, but for me, I'm out. So thank you.
And government, if you're listening, these are the voices of our landlords, and they're also giving their passion and understanding that you're losing more. We're not gaining more, so you need to start listening to the people who are providing housing. And I'm looking forward to hopefully having a roundtable discussion and continue to keep our advocacy efforts alive, because we are looking out for the good landlords and the good tenants that are out there who need our homes. And I know it's like we're just on this call for an hour and 44 minutes, and I warned people it was going to be a long one. And you know what? We need even longer with our elected officials, because they don't know what they're doing. And I know that we have solutions that do benefit all parties, not just the political leaders who are just utilizing the tenant voices to get their political gain. Thank you everyone for watching. We're going to be live again next Thursday at 7:00. Next time, it probably will be in person. So stay tuned to the Ontario Landlords Watch page. Let you know where we're going to be. I'll give you a hint. It's going to be in Mississauga. So if you actually want to be on the mic with Michelle and Exit and Manny, like, this is about giving your 2 cents. Tenant, landlord, taxpayer, your voice matters. And thank you so much for being a part of Kayla Unfiltered.